In your opinion, what is wrong with urban education?
Well, a lot of people say that when they think about what's wrong with urban education, they blame teachers, students, parents, poverty, you name it. But when I think about what's wrong with urban education, I like to start right from the top. And I like to look directly at school boards and the superintendents that they hire. Those are the two groups that is normally left out of the discourse when you talk about what's wrong with urban education. And if you look at it, most school boards, they operate in a certain pattern. All right. First, you have the school boards. They hire superintendents based on political reasons, or the superintendents are not qualified. And they come up with different type of titles for these folks, like chancellor or CEO or some other kind of title. That's how you can identify these school districts. All right. And what's wrong with this is that they pull people usually that don't have an education background, or they have a minimum background, but their background doesn't qualify for them to be an executive in an executive position in an urban school district. Right. And so what they end up doing is they end up filling a lot of the leadership positions with people that are just like them, underqualified. They don't have the right background or pedigree to fill the positions. Then you have school boards that hire superintendents that come from outside of the community. For example, if I'm working in a school district in Cincinnati, the school board hire a superintendent that's from New York or from California. And usually when that person comes in, he or she normally brings in people from their own hometown, or people that they can trust, that they know. And so to fill positions within the school district. And so what does that say to the people that are already there? They're saying that we don't believe in you. We don't think that you're able or qualified enough or have what it takes to help the school board lead the school district into success. And then the other problem with that is that these people that come from out of town, usually, they don't stay long enough to even make a difference. Now, some of them are qualified, and some of them are bona fide superintendents that could come in and make a difference. But it takes time to come in and to take a failing school system and make it a successful one. And usually the superintendents don't even have enough time. The average superintendent is in the position only for about 3 years, and sometimes it's shorter than that. So the superintendents, they come from out of town. Just when they start getting to know the district and the people and the community and the nuances of the school district, then they get fired, and then they bring in somebody else from out of town, and then the whole thing starts over again. Okay. Then the third pattern is there isn't any school boards at all. The school district in such bad shape that it gets taken over by the state or the mayor's office or some situation like that. And then when that happens, then the mayor or the person that's in charge, the governor, whomever, they hire someone to run the school. And usually it becomes a political position, even more so at that point, because they can bring in anybody they want to, or a combination of the other examples that I brought up. And this makes me so upset when I really think about it, because the only people that's affected by all this monkey business is our students. It's our students and their education that's at stake. And that's what makes me upset, the most about it.
So how do we fix this?
How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Well, you fix a school district the same way that you would operate a successful high school varsity basketball program. All right. Now, bear with me on this for a second. Now, when you're building a successful high school basketball program, you start with your freshman class. All right. And you build and groom and support them. And then your most talented freshmen end up becoming your JV team. And then you mold them, and your JV team become your varsity team. And then by the time they move through the chain of command, then the players will have a unity. They will have gelled together, where their movements and actions will be almost automatically. They'll be able to play off of each other and give communicate with each other without even speaking. They can just look at each other's eyes or give a signal, and they will instinctively know what to do because they've been together for so long, and then they know the ins and outs of the program. And then you also have to have a coach. The coach and provide some stability there. All right, the coach should be one who's actually been a player himself. Okay, so in an ideal situation, you have a coach that if he's coaching high school, then he probably have played some college ball before. All right, and if you're on the college level, you probably had a coach that might have played some pro ball.
That's right.
All right, so they can have that experience. You don't take a coach that hasn't played any ball and then you throw him in there. I'm not saying that, there aren't any exceptions, but for the most part, you want somebody that has that experience so they can give the players that tutelage, the knowledge, the nuances of the game. So when they're in certain situations, they know how to perform, know how to act, know how to behave. Now, let's take it to a school system. You do the same thing. You start with a superintendent that probably, once was a teacher, have been an assistant principal, a principal at some point, maybe have worked at central office. Okay, the superintendent has a career in education, has been up the chain of command. All right, so then they know how to identify quality talent, and once they get it, they know how to support the talent because they've actually been in those situations and positions before. All right, then no matter what you're talking about, teachers, support staff, or whatever, you start with your core group of talent and your best. Let's use teachers for example. Your best teachers, after supporting them and grooming them and giving them the resources they need so they can become good teachers, then you pull from your best teachers and they become your assistant principals. And then you pull from your best assistant principals and they become your principals. And then your principals become your central office staff. And then you pick from one of those to replace your superintendent if and when you need to replace it. All right. So you're building a chain of command and you're grooming folks for each level of the position. All right. Now just to think what will happen if you take a high school varsity team, you take the freshmen, and then once they get to JV, and then as soon as they get to varsity, you cut all of them, and then you take some freshmen and put them on varsity.
It's not going to be good.
It's not going to be good. All right, and so this is how you build a successful school district. And what's happening is, in the urban school environment, those chain of commands are not happening. All right, those steps in the process are not happening. We're in this age of reform, where people are just experimenting and they're just pulling and trying to go for anything just so they can get microwave results. And the results that they're after, they're not getting. The results are eluding them because they're not following the plan. They're not going through the chain of steps. So that's how you fix urban education. And in a nutshell, that's how you do it.